My mom, I love her, but I could never tell her I love her to her face. She is a stiffler for the rules, as am I.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but by goodness, growing up, she and I would butt heads because at a young age, regardless of, I was like, in my mind, I was like, I don't care if you're my mom. That's just a title to me. You need to be respectful of me, and
Mm-hmm.
like mutual respect, mom. And so yeah, maybe that's why I'm so much like her because there's such a sense of pride in knowing that you're doing the right thing, even though and yet at the end of the day it doesn't matter, but it should matter to you. So,
Mm-hmm.
but we were talking about balls.
Anyway.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to an episode of The Box Cutter, where we take apart an episode of Disney's Out of the Box to see if it still holds up. My name is Daniel, and my co host for today is content creator, one half of the Sleepover Cinema podcast, and filmmaker, Audrey Leach. How are you?
Good. How are you? I'm so excited to talk about Out of the Box today. So
I'm
beloved
excited
to me.
too. I'm doing good. I literally didn't sleep because I was freaking out about not waking up on time.
Yeah,
So
I know it's a little early for you.
it's not early. People get up at 9. It's fine though.
Yeah.
So in terms of filmmaking, um, you what exactly made you inspired you is the better word inspired you to pursue filmmaking.
Yes. Well, it's funny because like thinking back now, I don't know if there was really like a I don't really know where it came from, but
Mm-hmm.
essentially I think it was a combination of my sister and I, as we talk about every week on Sleepover Cinema, just like worshiping certain films and like not really knowing why, but just rewatching them over and over and over, and then also making videos with my cousins. Like they would be like music videos or like skits or just things like that when we were really little.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point I figured out that you actually should edit the footage and you shouldn't just like you shouldn't just like kind of edit in camera. Like, you know, when before you realize that you can like upload footage to a computer and edit it, you will just like
Yeah.
shoot things in sequence and then just like
Yeah.
watch it back.
Or
Yeah,
just do
so
the manual flip the camera 360 and all that.
yeah, exactly. At some point I like realized what it actually was, the process, and then
Mm-hmm.
I think I decided in like 5th grade that I wanted to pursue it at least as an editor, which was very specific. But yeah, and then
Mm-hmm.
that once like the end of high school came around, my sister was already at NYU actually for playwriting, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna apply early decision and just hope that it works out. So that's sort of what happened with that.
So you went to NYU, specifically Tisch, which, as we just mentioned before the recording, that Vivian went to Tisch. How,
Icon.
yes, how hard would you say it is how competitive is it, would you say? Like, how much are they demanding of you when you applied?
Um, it's definitely very competitive when you apply.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't necessarily like feel that like
Mm-hmm.
competition because nobody else I knew was applying for the same thing in real life. So I was just it was kind of just like I felt my odds were sort of low. But the portfolio is kind of extensive, like what they make you do. There's
Mm-hmm.
also a lot of essays that are specifically like for film. but that's like kind of why I applied early decision, was because I knew if I did, I would raise my chances.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do that, you have to go. If they let you in, you have to go.
I see.
So
Well, besides making videos with your sister and your cousins and deciding to be a filmmaker at a young age, what other aspirations did you have prior to that, or what other activities did you do while you were growing up?
lots of theater, lots and lots of theater, lots of dance, and like, like Dance Moms level competition dance.
Really?
Yeah, and it's
How
super
fun.
Midwest. It's like
Mm-hmm.
the Abby Lee's dance studios in Pittsburgh, and I was
Yeah.
in Cleveland.
You went to
So
Candy Apples?
no,
No.
never. I would never step foot in Candy Apples, but I did know who they were, and like, I think they're located in Canton, which is like
Mm.
which is really close to where I was born. But yeah, so lots of theater, lots of dance, and then later on it became like show choir, which is what I made my I made my senior thesis documentary about Ohio show choir, because it's like Glee, very Glee esque. And yeah, and I also did a lot of like backstage crew stuff as well. That was sort of the gist of it.
I was, well, just like you, I was more on the performer side. I did karate for so many years. I did competitions, and then I went off to college, and I was going to get an associate's in dance, but by goodness, was it so clicky with regards to how people behaved. I was like, I already graduated high school.
Like, I don't
This
need
is
that.
very toxic. And above all that, the people that were there thought hip hop was superior to all the other dance forms.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm done with this. And it wasn't until I got to college, Cal Poly Pomona, that I had this really great professor. I just took the class because, well, I just wanted to do something stress relieving. And he really just restored my love to dance. He really encouraged it, and he really wanted me to get a dance degree. I just got cold feet with them. I really
Yeah.
did get cold feet because I was like, for the longest time, I didn't know my worth,
Mm-hmm.
and so when people believed in me, I was like, I'm not worthy of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I guess with all that I've done with education in terms of being an educator and working on appliances, I also repair dryers and all that stuff. Fun fact.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
I learned my worth.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still practicing how to be braggadocious without coming off as cocky.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that's my relationship with movement and dance. I've always loved to perform, even though I was shy. I love that
Mm-hmm.
with dance, you don't have to speak.
Yeah, me
You just
too.
have
I
to,
liked that. Yeah.
and even then, it's like you are a part of a. It's like you're a thread within a fabric. It's like you see
Mm-hmm.
the fabric move, and you are part of your thread within that fabric. It's how I feel.
Yeah. That's so accurate. I do miss it a lot, honestly. But every time I take a dance class here, it's just like extremely overstimulating. Like,
Yeah,
because everybody's
I
like
get that.
wanting to be really good. And it's like, okay, I get it. We are in New York, but
Hmm.
still.
So the episode we are talking about today is Rules Rule, but it should have been called Balls Ball.
I know. I really should have.
Cause so Rules Rules, just the title itself, it comes off as like the title itself, learning about rules and following the rules and I thought they would do something like, I don't know, the Little Red Hen, and
Mm-hmm.
do, following the rules, or something like that. But this has nothing to do with that. This has to do with balls. So,
Only.
um,
Yeah.
when you first rewatched this on Disney Plus, what was
Mm-hmm.
your like initial? What was going through your mind when you initially rewatched the show?
Well, I was really curious as to what the actual kind of like layout of the show or the content of each segment would be, because all I could really remember was the theme song, the
Mm-hmm.
goodbye song, and like the aesthetic of the whole thing. Just like the DIY-ness, the craftiness, and I remembered like loving the like how tactile the show was. Just watching like the arts and crafts segment, like they're making things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked that as a kid. So going into it, I was like, what was the content of the show? Like I kind of forgot how they talked to the camera and
Mm-hmm.
and like the format of it.
And did you and your sister grow up watching this show, or did you watch it and like, because I know she's older than you, did you watch it and then she just catch it every now and again with you, or, um,
I think so. I'm pretty sure what the reason why I'm way more attached to it than she is
mm-hmm.
because we moved to Boston for a year when I was in preschool and she was in first grade,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was in one of those half day situations, like half day of school, and
Yeah.
then I'd come home and I would basically just sit there and wait for her. Like that's pretty much what my life consisted of back then, but I remember like Out of the Box, Dora, and Mr. Rogers were like the three that I would watch when I would wait for her. I'm
And
pretty sure that that's the case, and so I watched it a lot, and she didn't because she was at school.
yeah, I get that. Except for when you have like those holidays that land on a Monday or something, and then they give you like 3 day weekend or something like that.
Yeah.
That's when my sister would watch it with me too. But yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I'd watch Out of the Box, or I'd watch Madeline or Roly Poly, Little Bear.
Yeah.
I wasn't really into Mister Rogers, and I am like, I can't really explain why. I just really wish
That's
I
kind of
was.
surprising.
I know it is. It's like, people expect me to be like, just because I speak really well, that I read books, and I don't read books. I wish I liked reading books. I don't read any books.
Uh,
I
wait,
just picked up.
what does that have to do with Mr. Rogers?
Well, what I mean to say is, if I like, I just, it was a little too slow paced for me.
Oh, I
And
see, I
and I
see.
wish when I was younger, I liked it. Just like how now that I'm older, I wish I liked reading recreationally, but because it was kind of like,
Right.
you have to do it as an assignment. You have to take tests, AR tests, and all that stuff. It's like, I don't want to. If I knew what Animorphs was, I probably would have read all the Animorphs books, and then that's how I would have liked reading.
Yeah. My sister
But
says this a really similar thing about reading. Yeah, that's funny.
it's like I get jealous of people who say, "Oh, I like reading. I read 5 books in a month." I'm like, I hate you.
Hey, good for you.
Good for you. You have the time to do that. I'm making 5 garments because I want to. And I'm
Right.
so jealous of you. So yeah, so balls, rules. Vivian is in the clubhouse and she's putting away balls. Why were they out? We don't know. Maybe they had a field day. Maybe every now and again they get all the neighborhood kids together and they have like a big special day. Maybe they had a field day with the kids. Like a fun Friday type of activity in the summertime.
Yeah.
So maybe that was it. But a hammock is not the best
It's not the
situation to
best
put.
storage.
Yeah. But while she's putting away, she explains all the different types of balls, like soccer balls and basketballs, and some balls that aren't even brown, like footballs. And while she's putting them away, the hammock falls. And incidentally, Tony and Celine and Alicia and Nick see it all happen. Fun fact, and I'm pretty sure you already know this, that Alicia was
Oh,
in
yeah.
School Rock. Except you were mispronouncing her name on your podcast, and I was like, how dare you? You said like
What did we say?
Elisa or something, Alicia.
Oh, you know why it is?
Why?
Because in the movie School of Rock,
Because that's her
Jack
character
Black,
name.
Jack Black
Alicia.
says Alicia. Yeah, that's why.
That's her character name. But,
Yeah.
Yeah, so she was in School of Rock. And so yeah, so they help clean it up, but then they get distracted playing with the balls.
It's music time.
So the first song, like right away, we already are in the first song called Balls, Balls, Balls. It's fun and it's playful and it's got a catchy beat, but the chorus, they call it the chorus when they repeat the same thing. Is that what you call a chorus? It's a little simple. It's just balls, balls, balls.
Yeah. I was laughing.
There's nothing wrong with that.
It's kind of funny.
But and it shows different things that are ball-like objects, like the sun and snowballs. So it's not like just play balls or sports balls or whatever. It's also snowballs, the sun, things like that. And I was like, is this ska? Do I consider this ska? Kind of sounded kind of ska.
Yeah, I could see that.
But then at the end, you know that song from Dora where they at the end of each episode where they sing that they did it?
Uh-huh.
And then the end of the song goes,
yeah.
That's not very ska.
No, it's not.
So that was like, is this ska? Is it not ska? I don't know. Cue the Unsolved Mystery music.
Yeah.
1999. An episode of a show called Out of the Box appears, and a song comes on, but no one can figure out the genre of that song.
Right, exactly.
If you have any clue as to the whereabouts of this genre, please call 1-800-UNSOLVED. So yeah, and another question in my mind is, where did they get the box from, and why didn't Vivian just put them in the box?
Yeah, could have been a
out
lot
of the
simpler.
box, in the box.
Right.
So yeah, so they're having so much fun cleaning up, and the kids ask, "Do we have to put them all away?" Tony making a good point of, well, you can't really play with balls inside. You got to play with them outside. Any stories from you, like playing inside and breaking something? None of that stuff?
Probably. I feel like it was more like wall scuffs that was like an issue. Yeah, like my parents would be mad about like, where did the scuff on the wall come from? But I definitely was like too scared to actually like
You were too scared.
There was one time when Hannah and I were like probably like lightly tussling, like not actually like beating each other up or anything, but my dad said, like, told us in a somewhat stern voice, like, no roughhousing. And so but it doesn't take much to scare me, like, at all, especially like as a kid.
Were you
I was
and her fighting about a Mermaidia doll?
Potentially, who knows. But yeah, so I was just like scared straight in that moment. Literally never again.
Not just scared straight, beyond scared straight.
Yeah.
So yeah, so boxes and balls, and yeah, so they brainstorm a way to play with the ball inside, and then they figure out to roll it. What I like is that Tony and Vivian aren't saying, no, we're not going to play with them. They're hinting at, well, you got to play with them outside. So I like that they're trying to give them a problem and letting them solve it using their creativity, like being creative problem solving.
Yeah. It's also funny because they're talking about, like, you can only kick balls inside, and then, I mean, technically their little fort thing isn't inside, but they are kicking balls inside. Well, I guess they're more
It's
rolling
made
them.
of
They're not.
cardboard. Imagine
Yeah.
like them kicking something, a hole would go straight through it, and then they'd all die from it collapsing. And so,
Yeah. I guess they actually don't kick them. They just roll them. So it's okay. It works.
yeah. So, yeah. So they, while they're rolling like the ball to one another, they accidentally knock a carton over, and Tony and Vivian start to encourage the kids to brainstorm a game that's similar to bowling. Again, they're not saying like, "Hey, you got to clean that up." Like, "Oh wow, look at that. What if you guys made a game out of that?" It's like I love that they're not getting mad at the kids for being, using their creativity. 'Cause I know a lot of parents would just be like, "Clean that up," or "Look what you did. You knocked it over." And I know
Yeah.
they're not their parents, but it's a I'd say it's a pretty good method of indirect teaching. Because, oh, I noticed that this happened. Well, what do you think would happen if we got a bunch of those and put them together? And like posing the question and letting them figure it out. That's what I try and do with my students. Is rather than me lecturing them about what they're doing wrong, I pose the question of, why do you think I'm talking to you? Versus, I already told you not to do this, you keep doing it, and blah, 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 blah. Then it's like they're not learning for themselves. They are just being told that's what's wrong. They're already being told the answer.
Right.
So I really appreciate that they just they're posing the question and they're letting the kids solve it. Have you ever seen the show Zoom
Yeah.
on PBS?
Yeah. And they shot in Boston when we lived there, and I
Did you
remember.
audition?
No, I didn't audition. I was like 4, so I was too young. But Hannah probably could have. But then we would have had to live in Boston for longer than a year, so that would have been that would have been a struggle. But yeah, I loved that show. Loved it.
Yes. And there's so many parallels between Zoom and Out of the Box in terms of like plays, in terms of
Experiment
arts and
type
crafts.
things.
And I credit those two shows for my creativity and my hustle in terms of because I grew up poor, so I would make my own piñatas out of the 32-ounce can boxes of beer that my dad would drink. So realizing that in hindsight, I'm like, wow.
Yeah. They
That's pretty
definitely
ghetto.
taught you to look at a thing that should be or will be thrown away, like empty bottles, paper towel rolls, toilet paper rolls, all that stuff, as like crafting potential.
Do you have any proud projects you made from any recycled materials?
Probably. This wasn't this wasn't made of a recycled material, but like I don't remember what grade it was. I think 3rd or 4th. They actually had like a recycling poster contest. Like it was like, who can make the best recycling poster?
I
And
see.
Hannah won it. My sister won it like her year, and so I was like, well, naturally I have to win it my year. Like we gotta keep it going. And I
Sibling
did, and I
legacy.
was like, yeah, and I was like, all right, sweet. Like we kept
what
the
did you
family
win?
name. Actually, it was so dramatic. It was very like special. I felt very special. Basically, what happened was you went to the mayor's office, like the mayor of our county,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like this little ceremony. There was like first place, second place, third place, and they had like a little presentation, and there was sort of like a prize basket type of thing. And all I remember that was in it was like gardening tools and
Gardening tools.
some like, do you remember like leapfrog learning?
Yes, I do.
There was some like leapfrog thing and
Was the
gardening
globe in
tools.
there?
Yeah, it was probably the globe. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So let me guess. You took her poster and then you presented it at the end and said it's recycled.
Oh, that would have been clever. I could have like outsmarted the whole system.
I mean, yeah, you would have, and you probably still would have gotten first. But
Like, who knows?
I'm sure, what you created, I'm sure you looked at it after finishing it and you're like, yes, this is the winner. I'm sure
I
any kid
was,
that makes something
yeah,
feel that way.
yeah, definitely.
But good on you. You got the mayor to, you won the mayor's favor.
Yeah,
You got to
whoever,
cash in
whoever
that
that
favor.
was.
You got to cash that favor in.
Right.
So, yeah, so they brainstorm a bowling game called Rolly Moo, where it's like bowling, where you have the pins on one side and you stand on the other side and you roll the ball, and whatever you hit, you have to make the animal noise. Sounds silly as an adult, but if you suspend your disbelief, it's actually pretty fun. I actually followed along with it, and I started laughing because of how silly it was, but I really didn't care.
It's cute.
I'm a,
It's a cute game.
It's arts and crafts time.
So the arts and craft is animal bowling pins, plastic bottle ducks, paper towel dogs, and cylinder pigs. I feel that I really like that they had 3 different examples to show that it doesn't have to be a cart. It doesn't have to be a paper towel roll. It doesn't have to be a bottle. Anything that's cylindrical, you can use like a Dixie cup or something like that. Well, maybe a Dixie cup isn't the best example because they're pretty sturdy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I really like it, and I really like that they show different ways of coloring them without using markers and crayons, like stuffing it with tissue paper, the plastic bottle, or like gluing construction paper or taping it onto the thing that they're using.
Yeah. And you know what I forgot about with like the show and also just being a young child is that like you have to ask adults to cut things for you.
Oh yeah, that was before safety scissors. That was like when all you had around the house was the sharp scissors.
Yeah, I was really, and how like polite they were. It was so cute. They're
It
just
was
like,
cute. I was
could
just
you
a little
please cut this
uncomfortable
out?
with how much Nick was laughing.
Oh yeah,
He laughed like every 2 seconds. I'm like, okay. I
yeah,
get it. It's fun. He was the first one to finish, so he had to do something.
he had to just sit there and laugh.
Just had to sit there and laugh. So, after testing out their pins, they refine the game and figure out how to explain it. So I like that after figuring out what the game is, Tony and Vivian ask, okay, pretend I'm someone that's never played this game. How would you explain it to me? I really like that because you can come up with the most amazing game like from Parks and Rec, the Cones of Dunshire. But if you
Yeah,
can't explain it, no one's gonna know how to play with you. At work, they taught us this acronym called NOISE, which is the name, the objective, the instructions, the supplemental information, and then the equipment that you need. So it'd be like, okay, the name of the game is Rolly Mill, and all you have to do is stand here and roll the ball and hit the pins. Whatever you hit, that's the sound you gotta make. And yeah, so that's basically how I would explain it as an educator. But I'm surprised of. I'd say learning how to explain things is a pretty hard skill.
Yeah,
'Cause
underrated.
some people overthink it. Some people overthink it, and then they like start to explain a little too much, and then it gets a little too in detail, and then it's like, so what am I supposed to do?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a very valuable skill for children to have, and I think, yeah, just like watching it as an adult, I understand the value of what's being infused into the program from an adult's perspective. I think as a kid, you just kind of drink it up, and you're just like, I don't know,
Yeah.
like we're just watching it, but it's a really clever show. And I like how they approach that.
It is. Like, and I like that this is kind of a thing that isn't really taught. They don't really take a situation like this where it's like, oh, we're gonna make up a game, and now we need to figure out what we need. We need to figure out how we're gonna explain it. It's like this is a pretty original concept, situational like episode concept. Of like, let's make up a game, let's figure out how we're gonna play it, and let's try it out. And if it doesn't work, let's change the rule a bit.
Yeah.
So,
Because, like, you know, when you're a kid, playing games has just so much tension. There's so
Yeah.
much tension involved when, you know, kids have, like, control problems. Like, they want to take control of the game, or they are mad that somebody doesn't get how to play. Like, there's just, I remember feeling that tension as a kid and just being really, like, avoidant about it. Like, I'm very not confrontational, so I would just be like, all right, you guys can figure that out. I'm gonna just sit here.
My older brother and sister, I would like always want to hang out with them, and yeah, they would trick me into losing because they wouldn't explain how to play the games on purpose.
Classic.
So if only I remembered watching this episode, or if I even did see this episode, you know, this would have probably helped me into not being so suckered by my brother and sister.
Probably. You could have been like, no, what are the rules?
So yeah, so they play a few rounds, and they are just so proud of the game that they made. And Celine exclaims, "Our rules rule."
But
It's music time.
So the song they start singing is "Rules, Rules." Very 80s funk. A bit interactive with the stop and go.
yeah,
And stop.
it was cute.
And go. And I like that they had examples of what exactly they're talking about in terms of rules. Like giraffe, Winnie, I don't know what she said. I don't remember. I watched it a few minutes ago, finished watching it a few minutes ago, and I don't even remember. Something about four snays.
There was a lot going on. He was talking kind of quickly, so.
Yeah, even though it was a slow song.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Simon Says one was pretty good. I think if they did Red Light, Green Light, that would have fit better, but it's kind of hard to... I don't know. I don't write lyrics.
It's kind
easy
of a
to
more
critique.
wordy one. Yeah, yeah.
And so, yeah, so then they start talking about having a ball with balls, and then Alicia mentions knowing someone who had a ball with balls, Cinderella. And I'm just like, this is the third time already. This is the third time. Why can't you move on from Cinderella out of the box?
I don't know. Clearly
They've done
somebody loves it.
I guess so.
As a metaphor.
But they map out how they fit the phrase having a ball with balls into the story of Cinderella.
It's story time.
So, story of Cinderella It's basically so in essence, it's like they gave lore to the game Rolly Moo. They gave an origin story to Rolly Moo.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like how games like some board games have lore to them. This is basically the lore of Rolly Moo. So like Cinderella has a deflated beach ball, and the prince invites everyone from across the land to bring their favorite ball to have a balls ball. But because of all the mess that was caused last year, they can't bounce or throw or kick balls. So, surprise, surprise, Cinderella, played by Alicia, with the help of her fairy godfather. I
I
like
like
that
that.
take. I like that take.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good.
That was a good one. That was my favorite part of the story. The one thing
I
I
wrote
liked
that
about
down,
the story.
yeah.
Is that so he helps her inflate her beach ball, and she takes it, and she sees that everyone's bummed out, saying that the prince's dad said that they can't do anything with the balls. So then that's how Cinderella comes up with the idea of, well, what about rolling? He didn't say anything about rolling. Why don't we play a game of Rolly Moo? There you go. That's how Rolly Moo was invented hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
It's like the
And
prequel. It's the prequel to Rolly Moo.
yes, it is the prequel to Rolling Mill. Then that should have just been the story. They didn't need Cinderella
Yeah.
as the thing, but I guess kind of because but it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense.
No.
I feel like I don't know, something else could have been in its place. Maybe like Alice in Wonderland. Because Disney, it's a Disney show, and Disney has rights to Alice in Wonderland. So they could have just been like, Alicia is Alice, and she um, ends up in Wonderland, and she sees everyone playing this game. She's like, oh, what are you guys playing? Oh, we're playing a game called Rolling Mill. How do you play Rolling Mill? But yeah, so it could have been that.
Yeah.
But they just
There's like
chose
a million ways into it, yeah.
a million and one ways. So yeah, so they finish the story, and they're like, can't we play Rolling Moose some more? Like, no, we can play Rolling tomorrow, but I know a game we can play right now. Roll on home. Get out, kids. I am done with you. Leave. I
Yeah.
have had my time with you. Your parents need to come pick you up already. It is past the pickup time. Leave. I'm like,
Very strong boundaries these people have.
I like the fact that they are responsible. They keep track of time. Because taking care of kids, you have to have your curriculum, but also you also have to consider parents have things to do. So it's like you're like, hey, I need to leave already. Where is my kid, or something like that. It's like
Yeah.
I really appreciate the fact that they're Tony and Vivian keeping track of the time that they have with the kids. Even though the kids want to do that, they compromise with the kids with regards to, why don't we try playing games on the way home? Like whoever is the last one out is some duck or something, a lame duck.
Yeah.
And that was Rules Roll. So, let's get to our verdict then. The theme of balls, playing balls, and all that stuff. How would you say it holds up, the theme?
I mean, definitely holds up. The theme holds up, and the lessons learned hold up. I mean, there is no time in a human's life where they won't have to figure out how to navigate rules and understand them. So, and also I love that they were taking the time to teach kids how to explain rules. I feel like it's something that is usually more emphasized on older, like people once you get older. How are you gonna explain it? But how are you gonna explain something to kids? But they're teaching the kids how to explain things to other kids, which is great.
You know what? That you really just reminded me of that because I was so busy on the whole balls. Because every like 2 minutes you hear the word balls. Um,
Yeah.
but good on you for remembering the theme of rules, coming up with rules and following the rules of the game and all that stuff. But yeah, both of those, um, yeah, they definitely hold up. Balls. Kids love balls.
Yeah.
Rules though, I like how they snuck in rules, even though the title of the episode was rules, but it's like balls are in your face. Excuse the expression, but
I mean, that's yes, it's funny.
but then
But
there's they
yeah.
get you from behind with the rules as a learning, a learning
Uh-huh.
theme. Um,
Yeah, it's kind of like a double theme, like, learning how to play with like balls in the house is a very like literal rule that they can use now. Like it's
mhm,
something they can keep in mind now, but the
mhm,
entire concept of rules is something they can take throughout their
yeah.
life. So,
The music then, you and your sister being more musically inclined than I only did trombone, and that's pretty much my extent of music. I've only played trombone for like 3 years. Um, the music in how would you say it still holds up? What's your opinion of it?
yeah, I mean, I was jamming. It's fun. I mean, as far as like it's not really music that you can like it's not necessarily that catchy in that like you won't remember the lyrics right after you
Mm-hmm.
watch it, but I think it's fine because the theme song and the goodbye song are those things in the show
Yeah,
that
they are the
you
staple.
absolutely remember forever and never leave
Mm-hmm.
your head. So I think it's fine if they're like their songs that pertain only to the episode are just like a little
Mm-hmm.
less memorable, but they're fun and they're like engaging. So yeah, I like them. I thought
Yeah.
they were good.
I think they were good. My favorite out of the two will probably have to be the balls. I tend to like the faster songs. Every now and again, I like the slow songs, but I tend to like the faster beat songs. Um, the arts and crafts of bowling pins. I like it. I feel like it's a great way to spend a weekend or an afternoon. Because you're making something, and most kids have balls, and even then they could probably make a tape ball or something. So I feel it's a great way to entertain your kids.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it kind of made me wish I had a kid in my life to play with. I was like, I just haven't really been in touch with that, like having to play with a child in a
Mm-hmm.
long time, like since I babysat basically. So, which was in high school. So
I
it's been
see.
a while since I really had to get on their level.
The story, I'm gonna say the story. It's hard because I don't like it, but it's a question of does it hold up. It's not a question of do I like it or not.
Uh-huh.
In terms of story, I'd say it holds up only because recognizable titular character and some elements from Cinderella. Personally, I don't like it, but I have to say it holds up.
Honestly, I think I need to rewatch some other episodes of Out of the Box just to like gauge like in your opinion, what do you have like a number one Out of the Box episode? Like
I would probably say, probably. I really like season one. I'm such a fanboy for the first season because it was so experimental. Second season is very by the numbers of like, oh, an episode about brushing your teeth, an episode about being on the farm, an episode about, it's very stereotypical theme episodes. Third season is very holiday heavy, so like Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, all this stuff. But yeah, first season I'd say High Flyers from the first season because they the kids are improving with the story. They're playing along and contributing to the story. I also like Seeds of Imagination because it was just a pretty good overall episode. And Tube Town. I love Tube Town because original story for that one. It's an original story in that episode, and I just really love the music in that one. There's like this really cool, funky '80s ish type of song that I just love, and I just when I'm editing the episodes, it's like I just can't help but jam out to them and just
Oh,
like
yeah.
sing along with them because like it's just fun. It's just silly. It makes me forget things, but like not in a bad way. In a way that's like it just lets me have fun and be silly. As much of a high strung control freak as I am, um,
Yeah.
it reminds me of innocenter times. And
Yeah. I think type A personalities do tend to find comfort in that sort of thing. Like if you have like media or like something concrete from your childhood that like can allow you to get back to that place, I feel like there is a connection there for sure.
yeah. So and then the overall acting of everyone. I'd say if I were a kid watching this, I'd say it holds up.
Yeah.
As an adult, I'd say it's very obvious from them remembering the script. But then again, they're children.
Yeah,
Then
and
again,
I feel like it Out of the Box is a show where it's kind of like quasi acting. Like they are being themselves with a script. That's basically what it is.
that
So,
is true.
you know, it's pretty forgiving. Like you can tell that they're being themselves
Yeah.
even in the ways that they look like they're remembering things, like they're like trying to think of what they need to say. It's kind of endearing, honestly.
So overall, rules, still rules, and holds up. Audrey, I'm appreciate you making time for the podcast.
Of
Is
course.
there is there any upcoming projects, anything you like to plug?
Well, as we already mentioned, my sister and I release a new episode of Sleepover Cinema every Thursday. So there's a video version as well on YouTube, and there's an audio version anywhere you can find podcasts. We post on TikTok kind of a lot. That's at Sleepover Cinema. And then our Twitter and Instagram is at Two Pink Pictures, which is our production company name. It's at TOO Pink Pictures. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, make sure to leave a comment if you like what you hear. Why not subscribe? I'm on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud at the Box Cutter Podcast. Send all comments, feedbacks, and suggestions to the boxcutterpodcast at gmail.com because it takes a village to raise something beautiful. In the words of Tony and Vivian, so long, farewell, until we meet again.
Cute.
Thank you.
Bye.